9:01 straight up. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm really excited to have my very good friend Leslie here. I met Leslie, I think in 2017, Leslie?
Yeah, I think that's right.
In 2017, and her now husband, we were in Puerto Vallarta having a great time. When EXP, there were only 80 of us in this group. There was only 1,400 people across the country at EXP. Anyway, we're at this event, we're having a great time, and we're all probably a little bit intoxicated. And all of a sudden, her boyfriend at the time gets down on his knee and proposes. And I will never forget the look of shock on your face. You're like, what are you doing?
Well, I had just woke up and it was like, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night, because I had been at the pool drinking all day and went to take a nap and didn't realize everybody else was at the bar, but the lights were out and nobody was in our room. So I went looking and figured that was where he was. And so, yeah, that wasn't what I expected. Yeah.
So anyway, they are now married. Leslie has built an extraordinary business and team in Wichita, Kansas. And she did a couple weeks ago a class on social media, and I've been watching her over the last, I don't know, has it even been a year? When did you get on TikTok?
I started doing video in April of last year.
Yeah, and I started watching her, and I have loved what she's doing. If you don't follow her on TikTok, go follow her. It's under what is it, Wichita something? What is your
EXP
TikTok
Realty? I think it's Wichita EXP Realty.
And she has done some extraordinary things on TikTok, and I've just watched her business grow and grow and grow. So I said, hey, come get on our Tuesday tune-up. And so I'm thrilled she's here today. Do you have anything that you need to share on the screen, or?
Yeah, I've got some slides.
Awesome. So Leslie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because you've been in real estate quite a while, and now your son has joined you, right?
Yeah. So this is my 21st year. I started when I was 12. And I did take 2 years off. So when I started with EXP, I was basically coming back in. I was just really burnt out. And honestly, it was kind of a breath of fresh air because it was a new company. There was a lot of technology changes happening at the time. So it was just a chance to clean house, start fresh, and relaunch a business, basically, because I hadn't really done anything in 2 years. So we've been back at it now. I joined EXP in 16. So Marguerite and I are the OGs of EXP.
I know. That's funny.
But no, it's been an amazing ride. So let's see, January, February timeframe of last year, I have coaching through Tom Ferry, and I went to their elite retreat, which is basically the only retreat that everybody has to be a coaching student to be there. And one of the speakers that weekend was Glenda Baker. And if you guys follow her, she's amazing. She's out of Atlanta. She has a way cooler accent than mine. I have a lack of accent. And she got up on stage, and I just remember listening to her and kind of her progression of what her business is looking like. And I thought, I'm going to do this. Why the heck not? So that's where it started. So I came back, hired a videographer, started putting some ideas down. And then, as they say, the rest has been history. So I've went from 1,700 followers when I started in April of last year, and we just hit 47,000 followers. It's slowed down a little bit recently, but I was adding about 1,000 followers a week to Facebook. Facebook is primarily where I have my largest audience. They will pay you for your content once you start having enough followers. I've been averaging $2,000 to $3,000 a month just from doing something that I should be doing for my business anyway. So the slides that I put together are kind of just some tips on each platform. And then I'm happy to answer whatever questions you guys have at the end. But to give you, I guess, kind of a little idea of how I handle everything, like when I have videos today, and one of the tips that Glenda gave that I think has been huge for me is to batch record all of your videos. So when they started paying, I'm wanting to say it was like April or May, Facebook launched that they were going to start paying for Reels. I made like $500 the first month, and I was paying $1,000 for videos. So I thought if I can make 2 videos a day, then hopefully it'll break me even and I'll make my $1,000 a month. That was really what my thought process, and the only thought process I had other than attracting new clientele. Yeah, it's since turned into something different than that. But so now I go in and I record all 60 videos. I put out 2 videos a day, all 60 videos at one time. So it takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how many flub ups I have. And there have been some blooper videos of me trying to say things, but usually when I do it, it's all in one take. And I'm like, that was good enough as long as I didn't stumble all over it. So it's just about, I think the number one thing is just being authentic and being you.
So the bloopers I think are pretty funny, but what I have been enjoying even more lately are your conversations with David. So her and her husband have these conversations that she's been recording, and you also did some with your son, like interviewing your son. So I won't mess up your presentation.
You're
We have
fine.
A lot of
Yeah,
people
so-
showed up today, so I'm super excited to see so many people here today.
So yeah, what you were saying about David, I mean, part of that is, you know, as I'm coming up with content ideas, I have to do it throughout the month. So I go in and I record one time a month, and it's kind of, I love it because it's kind of like having a personal trainer. You have to commit to it and it goes on the schedule. And then I don't have any excuses on not showing up because I've already financially committed to it as well. So that is huge for me. I could probably sit here and whip all of the videos out myself at this point, but still it's worth $1,000 for me to have it on my calendar and time block it for myself. But I had a lot of, now that I have close to 50,000 followers on Facebook, I have a lot of people commenting just on my regular family videos and personal pictures and things like that. So I figured I would start introducing my tribe, if you will. So David came on, and we kind of got this idea at his son's wedding, you know, where the bride and the groom, they sit back to back and they raise the shoe if somebody was the most argumentative and somebody, you know, is the pickiest or whatever it was. And that was kind of where we had the idea. So I've had David on there. My son got his real estate license about a month after he turned 18. So he's been licensed 2 years now. So I've had him on there. And then most recently, Kelly, we've been friends since 6th grade, and she's my assistant. She is licensed and she does her own full-time real estate gig on top of all my craziness. So now it's kind of been funny to see some of the stories that she's coming up with back from junior high and all of that stuff. So
that's brave. I'm not sure I'd have some of my friends on there.
and I don't tell them what the questions are. Troy reads the questions out, and it's just whatever shows up, shows up. So if anything, I'm super transparent.
Let me ask you this, on your videographer, does he do all the editing and stuff for you too? So you pay him like $500, he comes out, records a whole bunch, and then he edits them, or?
So it's $1,000, and yeah, we record 60 videos. He edits them. He puts in the closed captioning on them. And then I get them back usually the same week, and they're ready to go. So he just sends them to me in Dropbox, and then I have them on my phone, and I can just upload them. I upload them in the morning and in the afternoon.
That's awesome. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to let you take over the screen if you want to, and
Okay.
we'll dive in.
Let me get here. I bought a Mac and I'm not super proficient at it, but I thought I would do this
Yeah.
because it would make my video stuff easier. So let me try to find my Canva. Maybe not.
It's one of your tabs at the top. The second one over, see?
Nope, I don't, because my
See, home Canva video workshop, is that it?
now the yep, the like participants and all that stuff was in the way for me to see it, so I wasn't seeing it. So funny thing about me and technology, I didn't even know how to turn my own TV on, so this is not anything you have to be super technically proficient at to do.
That's funny.
All right, so some slides that I made up. Let me get these ready to present full screen. So basically, like, why in the hell would you submit yourself to doing this? Because I know everybody has that feeling, because everybody doesn't want to be judged. So the things that I was looking at is I wanted more buyer and seller leads locally. That was a number one thing on my list. The number two thing is I wanted more referral business, whether I was sending it out, whether I was receiving it. What's even funnier on some of this is now it's been a lot of people commenting on my videos that aren't in my market. And so I've got a lot more outbound referrals than what I've ever had. And then the number three thing, I don't know how many of you guys are with EXP, but I was very interested in attracting agents for my team and for my brokerage. And now it's kind of transpired into a whole nother ball of wax. And so we're working on merch. So I've been selling sweatshirts and coffee mugs with silly sayings that I say all the time or that my dad has said in the past. And working on a book deal for goal setting that should be out on Amazon and Audible. So hopefully within the next month or so. So I had no clue that that would be how this played out, but that's kind of where it's on track of going. So the first thing I think when you're getting everything set up is making sure that you're joining the platforms. Like I wasn't on TikTok prior to going, I'm going to be on TikTok. I'm going to be Glenda Baker. So I had to join all the platforms, make sure all your bios are updated. It has been the funniest thing lately. I've been working on attracting agents to our team, and I've been looking up agents' productivity in MLS, and then I go to try to find them on social media because I want to see what they're posting about to see if I think they're going to be a good fit. And I cannot believe how many people do not have their contact information to get a hold of them. Like I have to literally go try to track these damn people down to be in touch with them. And so if people are on social media and they are connecting with you, you need to have a way to be reached. So I think that's super important. All of my bios match on everything. Another tip I'll give you on that is I write them in third person. So it sounds like Zillow is giving the recommendation of me, or realtor.com, or whatever platform I'm on, it's written in third person. So it sounds like they're the ones endorsing me. The next thing you have to do when you do video is you have to throw your thick skin on, because you're going to get a lot of very stupid remarks. Some of them, I don't really get too offended. I'm almost unoffendable, but I found that what's really funny, when I made these slides up a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know that this guy was the same guy. He's obviously one of my biggest fans. And he just does some of the craziest stuff on my videos. And so I've learned to kind of respond back in a funny way, because the biggest thing is the more comments you get, the more you get paid. So I'm not mad that they're commenting. I just give them some kind of response back. So like Chris here on the right, he says, I bet she's got a big old dump truck. I laughed, and my husband was offended
I think
for
you
me.
need to move the screen. We're not seeing anything other than your initial screen.
Really? Because I see it on mine. Okay, hold
All we're
on.
seeing is the video, realtor video workshop. Why am
Nope,
I
that
having?
doesn't work. It says, hold on. That is so bizarre. Let me stop it and come back in.
Okay.
Told you I'm not tech savvy to do this, but
Is there like presentation mode to?
yeah, that's what it was in. And I could see it on my screen.
Hmm.
Can you see my screen share at all right now?
Right now, no, I see all the participants right now.
Okay. Interesting. See, because now at the top of my screen, it just says post attendee, Zoom.
You're still here, so
Yeah, I can still hear you. Okay, hold on.
if you want, can you email me the presentation and I could probably try to share it on my screen? Yeah, so go back to, yeah, there it is.
There it is. Share, present, full
Present.
screen.
Click the present at the bottom,
What are you talking about?
the purple right there, yeah, purple part. But it didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Well,
Okay, well, we'll see them that way. We can see you now.
There
We're
you
on
go.
step 2.
telling you.
That's all right. So see, you guys, you don't have to be very techie to get 50,000
Nope.
followers on TikTok.
Nope. Okay, so anyway, hopefully you can see this little tiny screen now. On the right side where he's commented that he bets I have a big dump truck. So I just laughed. I was like, it's not a Prius, but it's not a dump truck. It's probably more like an F-150. And that was really what I commented back to him. And the guy's cracking up and he was like, oh my God, and she's funny too, and he's commenting below, or sometimes people are just super nasty. I made a video that the average agent only sells 4 houses a year. And I said, I don't know how they can afford to eat on 4 houses a year. And somebody was nice enough to comment underneath that it looks like you must sell more than 4 houses a year, basically implying I haven't missed a meal. And I just commented back and I was like, obviously, big girls got to eat, I got to sell some more houses. So I just try not to make it where it's personal. It's just, they obviously need a hug. There's something wrong with their life that they feel like they need to be a-holes when they go on complete strangers pages. So
Didn't you have one that blew up and you had to take down? Was there one?
I did. Yeah. I made a video about an eviction that I had to do, and it was a VA eviction. And these people, the guy answered his door in the underwear, his wife, they had no front door. It was just like a screen door. And we were asking where the door was so that we could change the locks and secure the property. And she was like, if it was up you would know where it was. And I was like, you're right, I would if that's where it was. But obviously it's not, because I'm not finding it. Can you tell me where the door is? And so I made the video and I found humor in it, but the bulk of everyone else thought that I was making fun of a veteran that I'd kicked out of their house and I was super mean. So I did take that one down. It's the only one I've taken down. It's the only one that I've really had a ton of backlash about. I still think it was good video content, but whatever.
Yeah, things that people freak out about are always interesting.
You know what? Yeah, there's a lot of soft, tender people on the planet that are easily offended. Like I said, I'm just not. So, okay. And I do try to keep it where, I'm not intentionally trying to be offensive. I'm trying to do this to get more business. So I try to keep it as mostly PC as possible. I tone down my usual 4-letter vocabulary as much as possible. Sometimes it slips out and it just happens, but not the F word, which is usually my favorite word, but I don't put it on any of my videos. So, this we kind of hit on at the beginning about committing to consistency. So I think that's the most important thing, is just continually putting the content out. And like I said at the very beginning, I do record all of them at one time. I think it helps, one, like I said, committing to doing it. And I think the other thing is, I don't know if any of you guys, I'm sure everybody has at some point sat down to write a paper for a class, and the hardest part is beginning. And it's like, what am I going to write about? What am I going to say? And so that's the longest time that it takes. So when I'm sitting here and recording these and doing them, and even just writing out ideas, I do it all at once. And so that way it's easier and I don't have to go, all right, what am I going to make a video about today? And then it takes you 30 minutes to come up with one. Used to be 60-second idea, and now it just turned into 90 seconds, but we'll get to that. So I find it easier to batch record everything, and it just simplifies things. I do keep a notebook and I do write down, like if somebody asks me a question about real estate, I write it down if it's a client or if it's my agent, whatever. I just kind of keep a daily log, or if I have something going on with one of my real estate deals, I write down. And it's just kind of like this quick little 1 or 2 sentence idea. And then when I come in and sit with Troy, I look at the idea again, and then hopefully I can remember what my thought process was, because sometimes I don't, but then I come up with something else after that. So the next step on social is, I think you need to understand each platform, because they're each a little bit different. So TikTok, since you brought that up initially, Marguerite, the thing I find interesting about TikTok, I refer to it as the Jerry Springer of social media. They don't know you at all. So there's a 3-minute maximum that you can record your videos. According to Glenda Baker, she's got access to all of the data. They've assigned somebody to her that basically handles all of her social at this point. She's saying that 46 seconds is the sweet spot to get the most views. And she thinks that it's because people have to watch it again to totally understand what she's saying or to wrap their head around it. So 46 seconds is where she gets the most views. And then stories, drama, that's the thing that gets the most views. Like for me to explain covenants to people, they don't get that. But if I were to sit and talk about a house that was painted lime green and how the HOA did something, that's where you're going to get the most views. And we do have a lime green house here. I don't know if Chris has seen that going to Newman, but I have posted a picture of it. So Facebook, this is the one that I've had the most success at so far. This is the people that already know you. They're probably some of your clients, your friends, that type of thing. They just changed this. So it used to be up until I think it was last week or the week before, it was 60 seconds. And now they've extended it out to 90 seconds, which has been awesome because some of the videos that Troy and I have made have come back and they're like 1:05 and I can't crop out enough to get it to that 60-second point. So now I have all of this back database of videos that were a little over 60 seconds that I've been popping out and putting on social. I think the things that I have seen the best results for are like top 3 tips. So top 3 tips to get, multiple offers, or top 3 tips on how to respond to multiple offers, or how to get top dollar for your house, or different things like that. Stories, market updates. They're not necessarily my largest view, but I think they're my most specific viewer that's watching those. And people like for you to explain the process. So if you're doing staging or something like that, they love to think about HGTV and how all of that goes down, and they're explaining it. That's the things that feel like I've got the most views on. I have sit and tried to analyze. It's like, do I get more views if my hair is straight, if it's curly, if I'm wearing glasses, what glasses I'm wearing? I can't figure it out. It doesn't seem to make any sense. The stuff that I think will be like instant viral isn't the stuff that goes instant viral. It's something I'm like, yeah, I think I'll make a video about this, post it. Next thing I know, I've got 1 million views on it. And it's weird. I can't figure it
It's
out.
funny that you say that, because my most viral video is when last year for my son's birthday, we did a seafood boil. And it's this video of him carrying the big bucket of seafood to the table. And I got like the most views ever. And I don't even understand it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I've really tried to track everything and figure it out so that I can just duplicate the same success every single time. But I don't know how it actually works, all of the behind the scenes stuff. I know that when you're making the video, they push it out. I know Facebook, for example, will push it out to a small batch of people. Then they see how many people are watching it and how long they're watching it for. And they feel like if that is happening, then they push it out to more people. So they're controlling the algorithm, definitely.
So
And
we
I-
have a couple of questions, if you don't
Sure.
mind, in here. One of the questions, and I know this actually was kind of a hot topic. Do you change outfits in between video shoots?
I do. So I changed 3 times. So I'll record 20 videos, change shirts, another 20 videos, change shirts. I have had a couple lately where I've only changed twice, and nobody seems to care what it is that I'm wearing. Like I said, I really can't pinpoint any one thing or another that's really attracting more viewers.
So the other question was, where did you find your videographer, and does he post? I think you already answered that. You post your own videos, right? He just
I
does
post
them?
my own videos at this point. Yeah.
And how did you find him? Was he somebody you knew, or a referral, or?
Well, it's somebody, both, I guess. So about 1.5 years ago, we do what we call equity splits. So we will go into a seller and we're like, hey, your house is worth this much, as is, it's worth this much. If it's fixed up, this is about what I think it's going to cost to fix it up. And if they say, I don't have that, then that's something, depending on the house, that David and I would step in at that point and say, you know what, we'll invest $50,000 in your house. We'll split the difference with you. And so one of my flooring companies that I do a lot of business with, he wanted to do a highlight of a lot of before and afters. And so he was in a B&I group with Troy, my videographer. So he had Troy come out to the house and we did some before and after and some content of Ben and I talking about each other and our business and different things. And so that's how I originally met Troy. And so I really thought that he was going to be a lot more expensive than what he was, but I messaged him and I was like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. How much would you charge me to do this? And it was $1,000 a month.
That's
So
awesome.
we've
And
been
then
hot at it.
somebody asked, are all 60 videos for all social platforms or for one platform? Like, do you record them all with the intent for one platform, or?
I just post the same thing on every platform. I'm not that original, and I don't have 180 different ideas. And we'll get to this, but YouTube too. So now the only one that hasn't conformed to at least 90 seconds is YouTube. So I'm still trying to keep everything 60 seconds or less so that I can have them on all 4 platforms. YouTube, I don't put all of like the personal stuff on there. It's more data and marketing, you know, real estate type. It's not my husband and my interview or things like that. So I do kind of tailor it, I guess, as far as that goes. Instagram, many of you guys already know this. It's definitely a visual platform. It started out with photos really only. So the things that I see that I'm getting the best hits is going to be tips of something to do around your house, kind of before and afters, staging, to make your house look more expensive, different things like that. But it's still definitely, I think, visual. I still feel like it's definitely geared more female. But that's, to me, kind of the topics on Instagram that do the best. And then YouTube. So these guys typically don't know you at all, but I feel like this is the next one that my big focus is becoming, is because of just the optimization. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but Google owns YouTube. So the more you put out on YouTube, the better you rank when people are searching for real estate agents in your market. So I feel like this is your video resume. I mean, you're giving tips, market updates, but basically making it hyper whatever city you live in. This is where you become the digital mayor of your city. And it doesn't have to all be real estate. It could be different things about relocating and restaurants and different things to do around your city. We've done some different things about different areas and different, like I live pretty close to Wichita State, and they have in the last few years got rid of the entire golf course at Wichita State, and they are building huge businesses, NetApp and aircraft businesses. They just put in a Hyatt place. So I kind of did a video about the history of Wichita State and all the businesses and things that are going in where the old golf course was. So it doesn't have to all be real estate. These are just some basic ideas, because I've had a lot of my newer agents, they're like, I don't have 20 years worth of stories. And I get that, but you still have other stories that still relate, and whether it's people or psychology, but there's a lot of things, even just places you go, shout outs to companies that you use. And what's cool about some of those things is you can tag them and it's going to go out to their database of people along top of your database of people. So it just shares the love, shares the information, shares your face with people that you don't know. But these are all super easy things. You don't have to know a whole lot about real estate to start having these conversations and making these quick videos.
So a couple quick questions we have is it how many followers do you have on YouTube?
Not very many. I just started that. I think I have below 200.
Okay. And then somebody said, do you feel TikTok is a make or break, or did it take you a while? Did you just grow it organically?
I've just grown it organically. I've got, I think, 7,000 or 8,000 followers on TikTok. You know, and the thing with, I think, any of these platforms is they continually are changing algorithms and different things like that. So it seems like sometimes it's growing really fast, and then other times it seems like it's been really slow. And then last month I got hacked. And so I was sitting out like on the sidelines for like a week and a half trying to figure out how to get my account back. If that ever happens, hacked.com. what's really funny about that is I was going to make a video about it, and the guy at hack.com told me not to, because it would probably hinder my algorithms, because somebody else had made one and they shut down their entire, like Facebook shut them down. And I'm like, that's the most
wow.
insane.
So
They don't want them
my quick-
profiting.
yeah, no kidding. My quick question is, have you actually gotten real estate transactions or real estate clients from this?
Yes. So one of the first ones, it was kind of funny. I had made a video about financing, and I had a lady message me, and she was like, hey, I don't really need real estate help because my friend died and I'm going to buy her house and I'm going to keep mine for a rental. And, but who would you recommend for financing in Wichita? And so I sent her my lender information, then come to find out she wouldn't qualify keeping her house. So she messaged me back and she's like, hey, I have to sell my house. So we wound up with a listing out of it. Then she invites us to her housewarming party. And it was like 2 days after she moved in, the boxes are still like half full, half empty. And it was in the morning. David and I brought cocktails because that's what we do. And it was hilarious. Like, we've already picked up two other listings out of that, just that one appointment. So it's like anything with real estate, you've got to work through the people that you have, but we've definitely picked up buyers and sellers out of it. I get calls from people asking me different questions all the time that say that they feel like I'm very real. They feel like I'm just pretty straightforward. And so they feel comfortable calling me and asking me questions because they know that I'm just going to give them a straight answer. And I've never met these people in my life, but they feel like they know me. I've also attracted team. It's like one gal messaged me and she says, can I be on your team? I've been watching your videos. We do a monthly networking mixer, and I had another agent walk in, and I'll tell you, the bigger it gets, the weirder it gets. She walked in and she basically acted like I was a celebrity, and she's like, oh my God, it's her. And I heard her say it. And then she instantly came up to me and, I don't know. I don't want to occupy all your time tonight, but I would like to talk to you about real estate. And I've only been licensed for a year, and I'd like to be on your team. And I've watched all your videos. And I'm like, it's crazy. Or David and I were sitting at the bar the other day at some Mexican restaurant, Carlos O'Kelly's. And the guy comes up, one of the waiters comes up and he goes, Leslie? I'm like, yeah. Are you the one that makes all of the videos on social media? And I'm like, yeah. And then he turns around and tells the other people that are standing over by the kitchen, he's like, I told you it was her.
That's hilarious.
It's really crazy. The amount of engagement. I've had people come through open houses that instantly recognize me, and they're like to their husband, I follow her on TikTok. It's weird. It's really weird. It's interesting.
So one of the questions I know the answer to this already. Do you and your husband work together? Yes. And how does that go? How does that work?
Yes and no. We were working together more before I started building the team in May of last year. And then we purchased 4 properties for Airbnbs last year. So David feels at this point like this is my wheelhouse. It's what I've always done. So he's kind of been in charge of running the Airbnb side of things. We bought a house that we've been remodeling for the last year. So like he's at home doing trim today. He also jokes around that he's my 1950s housewife. So I get home and dinner's ready and I walk in the door and here's your cocktail type of thing. It's awesome. So I'm fine doing that. And after 7 years of being together, it wasn't this way in the very beginning. So David comes from a martial arts background. He was retired military. He's very alpha male to be my 50s housewife. So that's funny to me. I told him I'm going to get him an apron, but he was a 6th-degree black belt, ran a martial arts school. And I jokingly say that he's used to being called master, and that's definitely not how this relationship works. So in the beginning, he really struggled, like trying to find his place and his voice in the business and things like that. And now it's nice that we have some separation, but we're still under the same umbrella. The goals are still the same. He still goes out and shows houses with me on the rare occasion that I'm showing houses at this point, but he still goes out on all the listing appointments with me. And it's awesome because he can go through our listing presentation while I'm sitting there and pulling comparisons and things like that. And I can put together their seller net on site while he's sitting there, he says that he's my trained monkey. So he does whatever while I'm trying to do all of the background work to give them their dollar figure. So yes, we do work together quite a bit.
That's funny. Joe and I worked together for a long, long time. But he's retired now, except that now he says he's my personal assistant. So he goes and shows property, puts on lock boxes, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So
David says it's my world. He's just living in it. So, yeah. So yes, there is balance. I mean, it used to be that we were pretty much side to side in the car every day, all day. And I was pretty much on the phone. So he's driving around in his own thoughts and silence on his half of the car, but it isn't quite that way at this point. We just we haven't taken on as many buyer leads. We've been handing those off to the team more. So
when I broke my foot, so Joe got to be, he called it driving Miss Daisy. So he drove me around for the last few months. I go, hey, it wasn't too bad being able to have a driver so I could get a lot more work done.
I get a ton more done when David's driving, and the roads are a safer place because I'm not texting and putting lipstick on and, the whole 9 yards that I do while I'm in the car. I try to save it for stoplights, but
That's awesome. Okay, so why don't you go over your pro tips? The one other question we have a couple more questions. What times do you see the best for engagement? And the other one was, has TikTok specifically brought in business? Because my understanding, TikTok usually caters to a younger audience. I wonder how well talking about real estate and home buying would translate.
Well, I think Glenda Baker has proven that doesn't matter. I mean, she's definitely kind of in a league of her own as far as TikTok celebrities, if you will. I think that there's a ton more 40-something females that are going to TikTok. And one of the funny things about TikTok the other day, I was in Vegas for a seminar and I'm sitting around a table and this guy was way too chipper for this late in the day. And he comes up and he's like, hi, I'm Sean from, San Diego. And I'm like, hi, I'm Leslie from Kansas. And the gal looks up at me and she goes, I follow you on TikTok. So what's really crazy is she's in Western Kansas. And she goes, the agent that I was sending all my referrals to in Western Kansas is no longer licensed. So we made friends. I sent her some swag and I think I'll wind up with some business from her from Western Kansas. So I think the thing is, it's like any advertising, the more you can do it and everything's a numbers game with real estate. You never know where your deal is coming from. It's just a matter of throwing it all up on the wall and seeing what sticks. So
one other question we had was, how does this help with agent attraction? And then I'd like to finish up your pro tips so we don't run out of time.
So agent attraction, I mean, I have a ton of agents that are following me at this point. And so I have a couple of them that they've messaged me, hey, I'm getting my license. Then I can say, hey, I'd like to talk to you, let's talk about EXP. Have you considered this as an option? So that part of it is opening the door, because just like what we were saying about numbers, the more conversations I have about EXP, the higher the odds are that I'm going to attract somebody. So the more people that I'm just attracting into my database, because we'll call social media my database at this point, the more possibilities there are. But it's definitely been where I have had agents specifically in my market that are contacting me and asking me questions about social, asking if they can be on my team, different things like that. So it's creating awareness is really what it's doing for EXP and for myself.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive into your pro tips.
Okay, so first and foremost, closed captioning. It's super important because people could be watching this in the middle of the night when they're having insomnia and their spouse is asleep, so they can't watch it if they can't hear you because they don't know what you're saying. So the closed captioning is good, or they could be watching it while they're sitting in a public place waiting at the tag office or something, and they could be seeing what your message is, where if you don't have it, they're not watching it and they're scrolling. So most of you guys probably know this one, pretty basic, but if you are filming short videos, so reels, you will film them with your phone up and down, so tall. If you are filming long format for YouTube, you want your phone to be horizontal. I have found when I didn't understand this in the beginning or things went long and I've uploaded them to YouTube, my views are a lot lower because you're not filling up the whole screen. It just doesn't look as professional. Hashtags are important. I have heard all different strategies from this. Somebody had told me that you needed to put them in order from the one that has the most views to the one that has the least views. And believe me, I've tried it. I wrote down a whole list and I put all of the numbers of how many views each one of them have had. And I don't find that it makes any difference. So I always hashtag Wichita. I always hashtag EXP, our team name, different things like that. And honestly, I copy and paste exactly what I put in Facebook to what I'm going to put in either, any of the other sites. The only one that'll be a little different is YouTube. They don't give you as many characters to use. So it's going to be a lot.
That's a quick question I had. I've heard that you have to upload them all individually. Like, don't take them on Facebook to share on Insta or take from TikTok to share on, is that?
So I'm sharing each one of them individually, basically, because it's coming from my phone where I'm uploading them into each format. But as far as the verbiage that I'm putting with each one and all the hashtags, I just copy and paste.
But you're uploading them individually to each site. You're not taking them from Facebook to share on Instagram or TikTok.
Correct. Okay. And I will tell you this, because I've learned this the hard way. That's how most of my tips come, is do not share it on TikTok and then share it to Facebook, because they will not pay you. So they suspended a month of income from me. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to do that, but I get it. They don't want that little TikTok emblem down in the bottom of your video on social media. No different than us advertising a different company that sells real estate. Sounds pretty stupid now that I understood it, but I didn't know. So do not do that. Make sure you're uploading each one of them in separately so that you're not branding TikTok on all of the other.
Yeah, so just to be clear, when you upload a video to TikTok, it automatically brands TikTok on it. So if you, and it will usually automatically save it to your phone. So if you then take that video that has the TikTok branding and upload it to Facebook or Instagram, they don't like it. So make sure it doesn't have, make sure it was the original video, not the one that TikTok saved to your phone.
Yeah. The last two I think are super important. Other than closed, I mean, these are all super important, but lighting, sound, the quality matters. You can't be standing outside and it being so windy that they can't even understand you because they're not going to watch the video. Lighting, one of the things that I've invested in if I'm videoing something at my house is I have like those boom lights that come down from the top instead of the ring light, because I look like an alien with the glasses that gives the bad circle reflections in my eyes. So that's the one thing that I have bought, and it's just, they're fairly cheap. I think they were like $80 on Amazon. So nothing super expensive. And then obviously be yourself. I mean, that's what it is. It's your brand, it's your voice, and that's what people are attracted to. And that's what I've tried to impart on my team. I'm like, your story is different than my story. Your experiences in life are different than mine. And people are going to like something about you that I don't relate to. I mean, so you're going to find, even though we're all going to make real estate videos, there's people that are going to be attracted to you because of what your version of something is, or your past and the way that you share that and the way you come across. So I feel like the more the merrier. And that was one of the things that Glenda said too. She's like, everybody's going to have a different look and a different personality. I have one of the girls on my team. She's, full sleeve tattoos. She's got, every week it seems like a different color in her bangs. She's super cute, but it's just a totally different look. I mean, here I am in a blazer. So it's a different look. And she showed up to her pictures. She says, "What do I wear?" And I said, "Wear something that you feel comfortable and that you feel good in." And she shows up in like this one piece floral the whole thing, floral, bright colored jumpsuit. I would never wear it. It looked awesome on her. And she was shocked because it was the picture that I used for her business card. And she was like, "That's the one." And I'm like, is that not your tribe? I mean, she had been at Berkshire before this and she's got on a blazer and a string of pearls. And I was like, this isn't even you. This is fake you. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So be you, show up the way that you would normally show up so that you don't look like you have a split personality disorder when people actually meet you in person. So these are some apps that I use. iMovie, if I'm doing longer format, you can piece together, shorter videos. You can take out the sound on them. You can add music. If you have music uploaded into iTunes, sometimes I just wind up buying something specific for whatever I'm putting together. Like if I have to beep out a cuss word, you can buy beeps to do that. Filmora, I really like Filmora, Filmora Pro. And it's just something I downloaded where if I'm making reels on the fly, something came up and I'm doing it in the car or whatever, I like it. It's got a really light filter on it. It doesn't make you look like a different person, but it does make you look a little more put together. But you can also go in there and crop and different things like that. So that's the
Are
app.
those
that
for
I
the
use on my
extra
phone.
ones you're doing, or is your videographer using those?
No, I'm
to-
doing extra ones as well. So just if something comes up and I don't want to wait another month to throw it out, then I just do it. Because a lot of times our like stats for MLS will come out and it's going to be another 3 or 4 weeks before I'm videoing again. And so I'll just make something on the fly, or if we're in the middle of an experience on a deal or something, I make a video.
That's awesome.
And then these are the two that I'm focusing on the most. TikTok, yes, I'm still focusing. I still post, but these are the ones that I engage the most on. If anybody wants to follow those. But
Awesome. You
happy
guys
to
all go
answer any
follow
other
Leslie for
questions.
sure. And we had a couple last questions. Was the advice to type in each hashtag separately, or are you copying and pasting all of them to each platform?
I paste them, copy and paste them on each platform.
And the other one was, do you follow music trends and incorporate them?
I think you should, and I haven't been doing that well enough. And here's the funny thing, I guess, about two other things on that is, even if it's something that you don't want the music in like playing in your video, upload the music and then adjust the volume to turn it all the way down. So it still is triggering, like TikTok, for example, that song is in your video. And so if they're pushing all of those trends out right then, it'll push your real estate video, even if you can't hear it in the background. The other thing I'll tell you on TikTok is, and Glenda had mentioned this when I talked to her, I think it was August of last year, is she tags a location in her market every single video. So I pick different places in Wichita, because if somebody is like, oh, I'm going to look at Botanica, I'm going to see what's going on here, I'm going to look at such and such, my videos come up in those. So it's just an extra way for people to find you because you're tagging your locations. Even though I'm not there, I'm tagging a local location.
Well, this has been awesome, Leslie. I always enjoy spending time with you, and we had one of our biggest crowds ever today. So I'm happy to see everybody on here. Anybody else have any last minute questions before we wrap up today? All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much, Leslie. I adore you. Thank you so much for spending time. Give David a big old hug for me. And somebody asked to repeat the music advice. She just had indicated to play the music very quietly, right?
Yeah, or just turn it down altogether, because it still shows up that music was there if they're using that for their algorithm to push the videos out because of the trend.
Do you have a particular microphone or setup you use, or do you think it matters?
Troy has all of that set up.
Okay.
So I do have, he sent me a list of it because somebody asked me the other day. So if somebody wants something specific, message me on Facebook, or even as you guys are doing this and you have questions and you're thinking about stuff, because that's usually when my best thoughts come, is like after I'm already off of the call. So message me on Facebook and I'm happy to share whatever I know. But most of the time, no, it's just using my phone as the mic. I mean, if I'm going to make extra stuff, it's either going to be sitting in my office, at our office, or in my car. So it's usually fairly quiet anyway, and the phone is adequate for that. So it's not something you have to go out and spend, you know, tons and tons of money on. Even if you're just getting started and you don't have the money for a videographer, just do it. I mean, just sit in your car and do it, or just sit in your office and make the video. Make sure you got all the lights on and that the lighting is good, but it doesn't have to be an arm and a leg to do this. So don't use that as your excuse to not do it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Always great to spend time with you, and hopefully we get to see each other live and in person. I saw you guys sold your Hummer. I understand, but Leslie and I both got on the list for the Hummers, so we had matching Hummers, and our goal was we were going to meet somewhere, but she ended up selling hers, so that's okay. She got it. I mean,
We
they're
just
selling
don't
for
have the
stupid money.
infrastructure for that yet in the Midwest. So
Yeah,
it was a royal pain to travel anywhere.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Feel free to reach out to Leslie and directly, and she's always willing to give. So thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank
Have an
you,
awesome
guys.
day. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you. Bye, Marguerite.